After I hung up with Daniel, I leaned back in my chair. This wasn't revenge. Not really. It was just an audit. A correction of the record. You have to understand my father, David. Before the 2008 crash, he was a brilliant architect. Truly. He designed buildings that won awards. He was proud, bold, and he saw the world in terms of structure and legacy. The crash didn't just take his firm and his savings. It took his identity. It hollowed him out. And right as he was falling, I was rising. My company, Aura AI, a little startup focused on ethical AI and safety protocols, landed its first major contract. While he was facing foreclosure, I was quietly securing our first round of funding. I couldn't tell him. How could I? How do you tell a man who just lost everything that his daughter, the one he always worried about, was suddenly, wildly successful? It would have felt like a final humiliation. So, I fixed it. Secretly. I used a series of holding companies and intermediaries to pay off the remaining mortgage on their house. I funded my brother Ryan's entire law school education at Georgetown, routing it through the trust so it looked like family money. And most significantly, I rebuilt that trust fund. I poured over $21 million into it, over 5 years, letting my father believe he was the investment genius who had clawed his way back from the brink. I let him lecture me about 401 KS. I listened to him give financial advice at Thanksgiving, all based on the brilliant market moves that were actually just my quarterly wire transfers. I did it because I wanted him to be whole again. I wanted him to have his pride back. But keeping that secret, it's been incredibly lonely. It's a psychological trap. They call it the Atlas Child Syndrome. You're the one in the family who is strong, the one who can handle it. So you pick up the weight. You start carrying everything. You carry their debts, their anxieties, their pride. You become so good at holding the entire world on your shoulders that you forget you're even allowed to set it down. You protect everyone, but no one ever thinks to protect you. And worse, after a while, they don't even see the weight. They just see you standing there, stable, and they start to resent you for not struggling the way they are. I looked out the window at the chaos of Grand Central below. Daniel had sent the documents. The truth was now in an encrypted email, heading straight for my father's inbox. It was done. An hour later, my phone exploded. It was my father. Of course it was. His voice wasn't shaky or apologetic. It was sharp, rattling with a mixture of confusion and pure, undiluted rage. Phelan, what is this? What did you do? I didn't answer right away. I just listened to him breathe. I got this. This email from your banker. These statements. This is some kind of sick joke. Isn't it, Aura Holdings? $21.5 million? This is fake? This is fraudulent. What did you do? I kept my own voice perfectly level, almost detached. It's not a joke. Dad, it's not fake. It's the truth. It's been the truth for 5 years. The line went silent, but I could hear a muffled sound, like he'd covered the receiver. Then, my mother's voice, shrill and frantic, erupted from the phone. Phelan Miller, what is wrong with you? Your father is Peyton. He's completely undone. How could you do this to him? You've embarrassed him, you've humiliated him. Embarrassed him. Not lied to him. Not tricked him. I had embarrassed him by revealing that his entire comeback story was a fiction I had written and paid for. You need to call that bank right now, she commanded. You need to tell them there's been a terrible mistake. You fix this. Phelan, you hear me? You fix what you broke. There's no mistake. Mom, I said, my voice as cold as the glass I was looking through. Those are the real numbers. It's my money. It's always been my money. I heard the phone fumble, and my father was back. His voice no longer just angry, but roaring. Truth. You wouldn't know the first thing about truth. You're a liar, a deceitful, disrespectful, ungrateful. I heard that word. Ungrateful. And I hung up. I didn't throw my phone. I didn't cry. I didn't even feel my heart rate climb. I just stood there, breathing evenly, as the silence of my $80,000 a month office settled around me. This was no longer a family drama. His unhinged, wounded pride was now a direct threat. My company, Aura AI, was in its sensitive, pre-IPO, key-it period. We were courting underwriters. We were being audited from every conceivable angle. The last thing I needed was my father delusional, furious. And now, aware of just enough to be dangerous, calling my board members or a reporter, screaming about fake money or how his billionaire daughter defrauded him. His fantasy was now a business liability. My fantasy that I could protect them and my company at the same time was over. The family firewall was gone. It was time to build the professional one. I picked up my phone. I didn't call my mother back. I didn't text my brother. I dialed Sarah Jenkins. She's one of the top asset protection lawyers in New York. We'd met at a few tech fundraisers. She answered on the second ring. Sarah Jenkins. Sarah. It's Phelan Miller. Her voice warmed slightly. Phelan. This is a surprise. Everything okay? I need you to draft a formal notice. I said, my voice perfectly level. All emotion scrubbed from it. I need a complete and total legal and financial separation of my personal and professional assets from my family. David, and the rest of them. I want a firewall. Sarah. An ironclad one. And I need it today. My phone was still warm from the call with Sarah when it buzzed again. It wasn't my father this time. It was my brother. Ryan. The text was short. Just 6 words. Phelan. Call me. Urgent. Don't tell Dad. A knot tightened in my stomach. Ryan was the peacemaker. The golden boy. The one who always stayed out of the line of fire. I stepped out onto the penthouse balcony. The muffled roar of New York City traffic rising from far below. I hit dial. He answered before the first ring finished. His voice wasn't his usual easygoing self. It was a hushed, terrified whisper. Phelan. Hey. Ryan. What's wrong, you sound? I knew it. He cut me off. His voice cracking. Oh God. Fell. I knew something was wrong. I've known for months. Knew what, Ryan? What are you talking about? The trust, he said, breathing fast. I'm in my final year of law school. Remember last semester? I had a research project on advanced trust and estate management. I used our family trust as a case study. I pulled the public filings, just to see how Dad was structuring his investments. I leaned against the cold glass, saying nothing. The air felt thin. There was nothing there. Phelan, he almost sobbed. There were no brilliant investments. No tech stocks. No genius real estate. Flips. His whole narrative. It was a ghost story. The trust was nearly insolvent until exactly 5 years ago. I waited. And then, he continued, I saw the real paper trail. It wasn't investments. It was just cash. Massive. Recurring cash infusions. Wire transfers every single quarter. Like clockwork. All from the same source. He took a shaky breath. A private LLC I'd never heard of. Aura Holdings. He paused, and I could hear him crying softly. It's you. Isn't it, Aura? Like Aura AI. My God. Phelan. I saw it all. And I didn't say anything. Why not? Ryan. My voice was flat. I was scared, he admitted. I was scared of what it would do to Dad. His pride. It's all he has left. I thought. I don't know what I thought. I'm so sorry. I should have said something to you. I should have backed you up. I closed my eyes. The one person in my family smart enough to see the truth had chosen to protect the lie. He was just another person I had to protect. It's okay. Ryan, I said. My voice tired. It's not your fault. I'm handling it. Handling it. What does that mean, Dad is? He's screaming about fraud. Phelan. He's saying you faked those documents. I have to go. Ryan. I'll talk to you soon. I hung up before he could argue. The brief flicker of hope that I might have an ally was gone. replaced by that familiar, heavy loneliness. 2 days passed. 2 days of agonizing silence from my family and 16-hour workdays at the office. We were in the final stages of closing the $550 million acquisition. My life had become a dizzying split screen, a billionaire CEO finalizing a deal in one window, a traitorous daughter dismantling her family in the other. Late Thursday afternoon. My private line rang. The caller ID just said, S. Jenkins. It was Sarah. Milavier. Her tone from our last call professional, slightly surprised, was gone. It had been replaced by something new. Something cold and sharp. Phelan, she said. Her voice clipped. We have a problem. A real problem. The kind that goes beyond family drama. A problem beyond family drama, I repeated, my own voice dropping. Sarah, what did you find? I started the asset separation. Just as you asked, she said. All business. I cross-referenced all accounts tied to the Miller Trust. I was looking for liabilities. I found one. A big one. 2 months ago. Your father did try to make an investment. He attempted to pull $150,000. I frowned. That's impossible. Daniel would have blocked it instantly. My contribution agreement gives me sole signatory approval on any withdrawal over $5,000. There was a tight, grim pause on the line. He didn't go through Daniel. Phelan. He didn't go through the private bank at all. My blood went cold. What did he do? He went to a high-interest bridge loan company. The kind of place that charges predatory rates. He used the trust's declared value, the $4.5 million you put in it, as collateral for a personal loan. I was already shaking my head, trying to make it make sense. But he still couldn't. The trust documents are ironclad. It would still require my signature as the primary benefactor. Exactly, Sarah said. It did require your signature. Phelan. He forged it. I sank into my leather chair. The view of the Chrysler Building, usually so inspiring, suddenly felt like a cage. Forged. He forged my name. This wasn't hubris. This wasn't wounded pride or a desperate attempt to feel relevant. This was a crime. This was fraud. He signed your name on the cosigner and collateral documents. Sarah continued, her voice sharp and precise. He committed felony wire fraud and forgery to get his hands on $150,000. The loan, I whispered. The sure thing real estate deal he texted me about was a total scam. From what I can tell, Sarah confirmed. The entity he wired the money to vanished a week later. The money is gone. Phelan. I stared at my desk. At the acquisition papers worth more than $500 million. And my father had committed a felony for $150,000. So, what happens now? I asked. My voice was hollow. It's already happening, Sarah said. When the loan company didn't receive their first interest payment, they initiated collections. They contacted the bank, Daniel's office, to seize the collateral. Daniel, of course, flagged it and sent it to me. I immediately informed them that the collateral was invalid and that the co-signer's signature was a forgery. My God. They are not pleased. Their collateral is worthless. Their loan is in default. They are no longer pursuing the trust. They are pursuing David Miller personally for the full amount, plus penalties and fraud charges. They're going to take everything he has. The house? His car. Whatever is left in his personal accounts. They're going to wipe him out. She let that hang in the air. He was ruined. The man who had just lectured me on my precarious freelance career, who had boasted about the financial safety net he had built, was about to be destroyed by his own greed and a forged signature. Phelan, Sarah asked gently, what do you want to do? I looked at the text message from my father, still sitting on my phone's lock screen. Let them, I said. He needs to understand. This is his accountability, not Mina. The legal and financial destruction of my father was faster than I could have imagined. The loan company, armed with a fraud claim, was ruthless. They initiated foreclosure on the house, seized his car, and froze his personal accounts. They were ruined. And then they showed up at my office. Not just my father, but my mother, too. They didn't have an appointment. They had somehow convinced the front desk security at One Vanderbilt that it was a life-or-death family emergency. My assistant, Emily, buzzed me, her voice tight with panic. Phelan, your parents are here. They look very distressed. Send them up, I said, my voice calm. I met them in the marble lobby of the executive floor. They didn't look like my parents. David, the proud architect, was stooped and gray. His suit was wrinkled. My mother's eyes were red and swollen. The moment she saw me, she rushed forward, grabbing my arm. Phelan, you have to stop this, she pleaded. They're taking the house. Everything. Your father. She burst into tears. My father just stood there, his eyes hollow, staring at the floor. The man who had lectured me about my precarious career was utterly broken. Phelan, he whispered, his voice hoarse. Please. I made a mistake. Please. Just make them stop. They'll listen to you. Just tell them you'll pay it. My mother looked up, her face a mask of confusion and betrayal. Why? She asked, her voice cracking. After everything we've done for you. Everything we gave you. Why would you let this happen? Why would you keep all this? This wealth. A secret from us. Just to watch us fall. There it was. The question that had been sitting between us for my entire life. I looked at her. At the woman who had always sided with him. Who had always seen my ambition as something strange and cold. The anger I'd been suppressing for 5 years, for 20 years, finally came to the surface. But it wasn't hot. It was ice. Why? I repeated. You want to know why? Because when I was 19 and won the National Coding Prize, Dad called it a cute hobby. When I got my acceptance letter to MIT, you asked me if I was sure I wanted to go so far away. If it wouldn't be nicer to stay local. When I tried to show Dad my first AI model, the one that became this company, he said he didn't get computers and asked me when I was going to get a real job like Ryan. I took a step closer. I learned. Mom, I learned that my success was an inconvenience for this family. It was something to be dismissed or minimized because it didn't fit your narrative. So I stopped sharing. I just paid for everything instead. I built a $12 billion company. I funded your entire lives for 5 years. And even now, you still think I'm just a freelance designer who needs Dad's financial advice. My mother was speechless. My father finally looked up. His eyes filled with a dawning, horrific understanding. Please, he said again. Just that one word. The house? Phelan, please. Don't let them take our home. They won't, I said. A wave of relief washed over my mother's face. She started to cry again. This time, in gratitude. Oh, Phelan. Thank you. I knew. They won't take the house. I interrupted, my voice sharp. Because they can't. The bank's foreclosure claim was bought out at auction yesterday. I bought it. My father's head snapped up. You bought it. It's my property now, I said. A $7.8 million penthouse needs a portfolio. After all, and you're right. Dad, real estate is a good investment. I looked at them. Not as my parents, but as tenants. I'm giving you 30 days to leave. 3 months later, I stood on the podium at the NASDAQ. The giant screen behind me flashing our new ticker symbol, AURA. I was surrounded by my senior team. I looked out at the crowd just before I rang the opening bell. My brother, Ryan, was there, standing near the back. He looked proud, and sad, and proud again. He gave me a small, supportive nod. My parents were not there. The stock opened. Aura AI was officially a public company, and my personal stake was valued at over $2.5 billion. That night, I was home in my penthouse, the one I'd bought for $7.8 million, watching the city lights. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Ryan. Dad and Mom started therapy. It read, He's really trying. He's finally listening. I'm so proud of you. Phil. We all are. I sat there for a long time. Then I opened my laptop. I pulled up the old encrypted file. The spreadsheet I had meticulously maintained for 5 years. The one that tracked every mortgage payment. Every tuition check. Every medical bill. The one that totaled over $25 million. I stared at the numbers. This complex web I had woven to protect them. To protect myself. This digital record of my secret life, as the Atlas child. I highlighted every cell. And I hit delete. For the first time in my life, I felt completely and utterly free.